first, or?
Sure.
Okay.
There's always a brief period when the hangout on air thing is pausing, and we're waiting for the on air symbol to actually flash from Google. So, hi everybody, this is Richard, and we are live with Macchiato Monsters, Tredroy Shadows, in which we're sort of mashing up the old GURPS Fantasy City Tredroy with the new Eric Nieudan's Macchiato Monster system. I've got 3 players here tonight, and I'm going to ask them each to introduce their characters. And then I will talk a little bit about the setup. We will go from there. Clint, why don't you go first and introduce Milton?
Okay, Milton is a former shepherd who is new to the city. He sold his flock and moved to the city. I'm not sure why yet, but I'll probably think of that in play. But once there, he was just shocked at the injustice of the city. He's a little naive, coming from outside, but out of a sense of kindness and duty, thinks it's his responsibility to take on the wrongs and to right the wrongs. Milton has rosy cheeks, freckles, ritual scars, worn out clothes, and a bit of a habit to talk to himself, probably result of spending a lot of time around the flock instead of people. He has a dog confusingly named Winston, which is a little bit similar to the name Milton, and dabbles in what I've been calling pastoral magic, which so he can do healing and speak with animals.
What was there a particular sort of inciting incident that got you concerned about crime in the city after you moved in?
I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I don't know enough about out of character. I don't know enough about the city yet to say. So,
all right. Kyle, what about you?
Yes, I am playing Severinus. He is a penitent practical. Which is to say he's basically a kind of shadow runner who has decided that, maybe that life of working for the rich and powerful and doing crime stuff is really not so good for the city. And
right.
He should change his ways. So he's now a vigilante. Whether that is a lateral or vertical move, I'm not sure as a life decision, but that's where he's at. And I think he probably used to mostly either steal things or beat people up for other people, because again, he doesn't know any languages other than the sort of patois of the city. So I don't think he was very much of a social operator. He's also really not very charismatic at all. He's very gaunt. He wears sort of rumpled clothing. But the one thing he does have going for him is that he has a bag of Electrum. It's not a huge bag, but he's got some Electrum. I think this was probably from like his savings from his life of working as a practical. And he's like, I'm gonna get out. Like he's like a Blaze in the Dark character who's retired, and then he's like, wait, actually, I should probably do something about how awful this city is. So I think that's where he is right now.
Nice. And why don't we introduce Paul's character?
Sure. So I'm Alva. I'm an escaped slave. I was a clerical slave in the northern district of the city, but if you cross over into the eastern district of the city, well, there's your freedom. So I lived among the Cantonese community in the eastern part of the city, learned some magic, and my clerical background, I can do a little forgery, and I was present in the in the last game session, which involved a demon coming to attack a friend of mine who was a shopkeeper in the like the Cantonese market area of the city, and the sort of ended with the defeat of that demon, and now here we are.
All right. Alva, how do you think you know Severnus?
Jeez. You know what? So the whole idea of being a practical, I mean, it's entirely possible that, maybe you would come into the Cantonese community and, minister to the poor, perhaps, or,
Well, I've got this martial arts skill, so I think probably I learned a little bit of every kind of martial arts in this cosmopolitan town, and I'd sometimes come into the Cantonese community to practice boxing. So
Sure.
maybe it's like this this set of calligrapher's tools I got. I got it from you because I was like, yeah, I should really improve my language skills now that I'm, on the straight and narrow. And then you just like handed me this set of calligrapher's tools. I'm like, I don't really know what to do with this, but thank you.
Sure.
So, you may have been possibly tutoring Severnus in languages, as well as possibly pointing him to things that he might do to improve the lot of people in the city. He definitely can go places you can't easily go, since he cannot. You can't go back to the areas that allow slavery. 1 second. The two of you, how did you meet the newcomer Milton? Who seems to be he and his dog, who seem to be very interested in cleaning up the streets, at least around the area where you guys live.
Yeah.
How did the two of you meet Milton, you think?
He's got this fishing pole. Maybe, there's canals, people fish to put food on the table.
You have two big rivers and lots of parks, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible we just sort of ran into him. Could have been out at the, doing calligraphy or something like that, and ran into him fishing or something.
I was saying maybe it kind of tied into into how I kind of got into the whole crime fighting thing of like, I don't know, if maybe I just stumbled onto some sort of some crime in progress that you guys were trying to stop, and I helped you out, and then decided to join up.
Severnus, what was the crime in progress?
I think it was probably like a shopkeeper being shaken down for protection money. Yeah, like it was probably like somebody who sells mutton,
Milton, why were you fond of that particular shopkeeper? Or actually, why were you not initially fond of that particular shopkeeper when you first came, before you saw them getting shaken down?
I thought his prices were just way too high, and I didn't understand, why somebody would charge that much for mutton. So some of that would be a little bit of just, again, being naive from being from the country, but then some of it's just he has to charge a lot because he's always getting shaken down, so he needs the extra money. So now I understand that.
And Alva, if you need to break and enter into a place, or you need to discreetly get into a place, why would you call Milton?
Oh, well, discreetly, well, geez, I don't know. I think, he's got money. I have no money. And I think he's just got this sort of easy way about stuff. The whole healing spell vibe, speak with animals. I just get this sense that, he comes across as this, easy guy who can talk his way in. Kindness and duty as his drive. I mean, it's just this sort of...
Dog people are likable people.
Yeah. People like him. Nobody likes me. So it's nice to have somebody around for likability.
Nice. Okay.
I'm probably pretty innocuous too. Just no one's just going to really expect that this rosy-cheeked, freckled boy from the country is up to no good.
Right. Almost like you're like a skilled kid. You hire kids as lookouts, and you look older, but not like an obvious lookout. But people are just like, clearly, this guy is not up to anything bad.
Or I can just be out like walking my dog, stuff like that too. That just helps with. Yeah, I have an excuse to be outside, like moving around. Yeah.
Right. Severnus. What about breaking into a wealthy wizard's house most concerns you?
Oh,
Or needing to discreetly get into a wealthy sorcerer's house,
I think it's probably like, when I usually do break in and steal something from someone's house, I'm relying a lot on my speed, my dexterity, my nimbleness. But when you break into a wizard's house, you can't really rely on that so much because you don't really know what sorts of, servants or traps or even what kind of maybe like rifts are open in their residence, and there's just too many unexpected variables that could be in there.
All right. And Alva, what's one thing you would always do to prepare before discreetly entering a house that you're not supposed to be in? Especially a wealthy house.
Yeah, I've got this torn coat, which is probably probably conspicuous lower class clothing. So I don't know, maybe I paint my coat to look high, higher class. I dress it up a little bit with some colorful, a little bit more color and a little bit more something to try and sort of fit into the neighborhood a little bit while I'm casing it.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. So as I said, last time on Tredroy Shadows, and I'm hoping that we will get a chance before the summer is over to schedule some more Macchiato Monster sessions in the city of Tredroy. As Alva said, there was lots of hints of tensions in between different groups, ethnic groups, religious groups, in a deeply diverse city, a seriously diverse city. It's including between groups that specifically had been known for their tolerance and for their ability to get along. Tredroy is in the GURPS Banestorm universe. It is a city that sits on the boundary of two Muslim and one ostensibly Christian country. It has a wide variety of legal systems operating in the city, several courts. There's a city council, but the city charter guarantees everybody certain freedoms who live in the city. Unusual in this sort of quasi-medieval, early Renaissance style universe that GURPS Banestorm is set in. And it's a city known for its tolerance. It's a city where words like crusader are considered bad words. It's an insult to be called a crusader. And it's a city that's not at home with intolerance. But various tensions have been heightened lately. There have been murders in some quarters that have been blamed on other groups. There have been refusals to pay merchants across religious lines. And then just a few days ago, there was a random attack by what looked like a summoned demon, but turned out to be made of clay on a tenement building in Chinatown, in the large Cantonese community where Alva lives. A friend of Alva's, a rabbi by the name of Jacob ben Bezalel, identified the clay sculpture animation magic that was used as being a particular interest of a reclusive urban wizard named Lassard. So tonight we're going to follow up on the lead provided by Lassard. And we're going to, I think we're going to play until roughly 9 o'clock Eastern time, and then do a break a little before 9, and then we'll come back from that break and pick up and go on from there. We're going to be using because there's a smaller group and because there's not a lot of continue over, we're going to just to kind of show off Macchiato monsters in the city of Tredroy. We're going to use a published adventure a little bit tonight, but adapted for my own nefarious purposes, and adapted to Macchiato monsters. So we're going to, one second. go. The best lead you all have in investigating this this group, and several people who were playing last time found the group who seemed to be sort of behind a group who was meeting mysteriously, and who broke up suddenly as you all destroyed the clay demon in the Chinese community that had been meeting inside ostensibly a church, or at least in the school of a church, attached to a church, a Huguenot church. I say a lot. So they've been meeting in the there. They broke up very, very suddenly, and had prestigious members of several communities in Tredroy there in the meeting, who fled as investigators sort of came into the building. But the best clue you've got right now on where they learned to do this and what might be bringing them together is the wizard Lessard. Lessard is a wealthy noble, a descendant, a non hereditary descendant of an aristocratic family. He has not surrendered his titles in order to give his life over to magical research. Like most wealthy people who surrender their titles to give themselves over to magical research, most people suspect he's involved in necromancy, which is a crime in all quarters of the city. But, you know, when you have money, you get away with things. Also, you have big walls around your estate to prevent people from looking. You all know that no one has seen Lessard in several days. He's normally reclusive, but people, you know, see wagons, orders of food going in and out of the estate, which he normally receives himself. But he's not had any visitors, according to his neighbors, in several days. Unless you guys would like me to do something different, I think we'll stage this at night. And I'd like to know from each of you what you've done to investigate the space, or what you've done to investigate this place before going in. It could be a spell, it could be just trying something, it could be talking to people in the neighborhood. But I'll start with pick on Kyle. So what has Severnus been doing to get ready for this sort of investigation of Lessard's manor?
Right. So I think I'm probably pretty familiar with this district he's living in because I used to, you know, work for the rich and powerful. So I've done work in the area before, and I think so even though he's very reclusive, he must have people coming and going at certain times, right? Like he must have servants, or he must have you know, neighbors who call on him. So I think I first want to see if I can find somebody like that.
So Severnus, I'd like what's your approach to finding out? I mean, who are you talking to? What would you like to know?
I think I would. So if I've heard rumors that this guy might be involved with necromancy, I figure he's going to need some bodies. So I think I will go to sort of like the street people in the district and see if they've seen anything of that sort coming and going. And also, yeah, so I think that's where I start. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think
Oh, are you muted?
No, I was just trying to think of how to phrase it. I think there's a woman named Verna
Mm-hmm.
who runs a very inexpensive tavern.
Okay.
For really terrible beer, and really sour wine. That is popular with people who have very little money,
Mm-hmm.
but still need to eat and drink. Verna's not Lessard does not live in a nice portion of the city, though he has a very nice tower with strong walls around it. It's not the worst portion necessarily, but it's a poor neighborhood. It's a lower class neighborhood. It's definitely lots of people who work the docks live here. And what time of day are you going to hunting around?
So if we're at night in sort of the present, I probably would be going like maybe this is like in the afternoon, when it's like a really hot time of day and people like to go indoors.
Right.
So I head in there to maybe talk to people, see if there's people who've taken refuge from the heat and could tell me something useful.
Yeah, it's the Rat's Demise is Vernus Tavern. And are you just going up to customers? What's your general approach to finding this out?
So I want to buy a bottle of wine. And is this so I'm just trying to figure out the rules for splitting cash dice.
Yeah.
So I have an Electrum DR6, which means I should be able to split that down to two silver DR4s. Is that correct?
What normally you would do is you would check your Electrum to get a bag of silver.
I would check it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
okay.
You essentially are getting a D6 bag of silver.
So if I succeed, then I get a D6 bag of silver.
Actually, you always get the D6 bag of silver. You just make sure, like,
Okay.
The check determines whether you overpaid for that, or over exchanged.
Okay, sure. I'll do that then. So I'm gonna roll. Okay, I got a 5, which should be a success.
Nice. Yeah.
So I get a D6 bag of silver, and then I will check my D6 bag of silver to get some copper. Because you don't need to spend silver at a place like this.
No, definitely not.
And that was also a success.
Nice.
So okay, so I got some copper. I think that's the next little step down. Yeah, so now I think that should be reasonable to spend. So now I'm gonna see about getting some of that wine. So I'm gonna buy a fair amount of wine, like a couple bottles of wine.
So check your copper pairs twice.
Okay, that was a success. And that was also a success. Okay, so I got two bottles of wine, and I'm basically getting the servers to bring them around and just say, oh, here's some relief from the heat, everyone.
Yeah, ask a question. What do you want to find out from these people?
Okay, so I want to I want to ask about this tower and these walls and like who's coming and going. Like, what do you see at night? What do you see? Anything suspicious? Wizards, they can't be trusted.
They tell you that, he's a quiet man, but Lessard's a pillar of the community. But yeah, you do see normal deliveries coming and going multiple times a day, sometimes deliveries at night. They point you to, I need better names, but I'm gonna go with Old Hank, who sometimes handles deliveries over to. But no, Lassard's, he's straight up. He's a, he doesn't cause trouble. No explosions. It's very important when a wizard lives near you. No weird explosions. No strange smells. It's it tends to be on the up and up with Lassard.
Yeah, so I just say, well, I'm sorry to have spoken ill of your neighbor, but I'm gonna go see this Hank, and walk over. I want to walk over to Hank, and I want to ask him about where he picks up his deliveries for Lassard.
Now, are you sharing wine with him first?
Oh yeah. No, I would probably pour him a glass of wine and maybe a couple glasses of wine. Say to him, look, Hank, you and we've spent a lot of time in the service of the wealthy members of this society.
Old Hank is about 18.
And I say, well, you've probably been doing this since you were a small boy.
Why would you say that?
Well, you don't just get to delivering to a wizard. That's a special contract, Hank.
I just he just hired me one day and I was good. So, that's about just doing
That's right, Hank, you're good. And I pour him some more wine.
So what's the question you're asking him?
Yeah, I want to know, where does he pick up his deliveries for Lassard, right? Like, that's what I want to know.
Oh, yeah. Well, usually the normal place is the free trade zone. Sometimes,
anyone in particular?
I mean, I don't deliver people. I mean, that's illegal here. No slaving. No slaving in in East Tredroy. That's illegal.
Of course.
No, I mean, you pick up stuff at the free trade zone, but that's
What kind of things do you deliver to your friend Lassard?
Why don't you make a charisma check there?
Great.
And you are, however, a penitent practical, and I think you're probably good at this. So it's a tough check, but I'm going to have you do it at advantage because it's the kind of thing you're good at.
All right. Well, I really hope so because I have an 8 in charisma. So, okay, here we go. Reroll this guy here. Nope. 13 and a 19.
He kind of eyes you, and he's just like, and then his eyes sort of drop down to your purse.
Mm-hmm. And
it's the wine's nice and all, but there's faster ways to loosen a tongue.
Of course, Hank, you and we know the ways of this thing, and I guess I'll try to bribe him with some copper here. Is he a man of more distinguished taste?
I think he's like, are you reaching for something deeper in the purse?
And I'm like, all right, okay. So let's see what the silver dice does here.
Ah, my friend, yes. He drains his cup. And it's like, once in a blue moon. Doesn't happen often, but occasionally he sends me to pick up, anatomical studies from the prisons.
Well,
There's prisons are, they're just a place you wait for whatever punishment's coming to you. Usually, if you are in a prison for an extended period of time, it's not a happy thing. It's especially in a place that where a significant portion of the city is surrounded by water. Being down in a dungeon is a unhappy, unpleasant thing.
Yeah. So I say, well, that's very helpful, Hank, and hand over a little pouch of silver.
Let's just check your silver real quick and see.
Yeah, I did. I got a 2, so I'm down to a DR4.
Yeah, you hand over that pouch of silver, and he's like, he sort of takes it and he reaches back past you and just sort of takes 3 more.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's it's like it's been a pleasure doing business with you. If you ever have questions I can answer, you know where to find old Hank.
Well, yes, you're a man of the world, Hank. Much obliged. And,
I've never been past North Tredroy. No, not at all.
And I just like slap him on the back and walk out of the room.
Yeah, he exits pretty quickly. He's going to go somewhere better than the rat. Now that he's got some silver on him. Alva, you are aware of how potentially grim the situation has gotten. What are you doing to prep for this job?
Yeah, right. That is a good question. I mean, you said it was a bad part of town.
It's a working class part of town, but it's it's got a few of those leave me alone mansions.
Yeah.
Or older mansions that have been sort of left over from a nicer time.
Yeah. What would I do? So we're still in the eastern East Tredroy, right?
Yes, you're still in East Tredroy.
Um,
You're down in Baron Dorilis's neighborhood.
I think, like, timing wise, I mean, I do have forgery skills, and I do, that if we're in a situation where we actually have a plan, to masquerade as corpses or something, dramatically ill-conceived like that, then, I could forge our death certificates or our bill of, trade or something associated with, selling dead bodies for money.
Certainly there was, people who have no family and no stated religious affiliation frequently get sold for anatomical study.
Yeah. So if I got that information from
oh, certainly, yeah,
Severnus, then I could create some certificates that say that yes, indeed, these corpses are of people with no names or no religious affiliation, and it is legal to sell them. And
you're an escaped scribal clerical slave. Why don't you roll intelligence at advantage?
All right. So I need D20s here. Oh, I didn't bring it. I will. I told you I was going to use. What do we got here? All right. Well, I will just roll it twice then. It's not like I don't have a whole house full of dice, but they're not all within reach. So
That's fine.
So what is my intelligence? My intelligence is a 9. It is my lowest stat. So thanks for the advantage. That's a 13, and that's an 18. So these documents look like hell.
I think the issue that you potentially discover, later, is that they look like they're the correct documents for the Emir's dungeon that you would use. These don't have the correct, you don't recognize this at the time. These do not have the correct documents for bringing dead bodies across the river into Cardiel and East Tredroy. But they are documents for the wrong section of the city. Which are, I think that you may still be able to talk your way out of it.
Yeah, especially if you have someone with a good charisma. Who do we have?
Yeah, we got you.
That might even be me. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Although, anything else you would like to start working on?
Yeah, to
get you situated to get in there as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, one of my look and quirks thing is face paint. So heck, I don't know if we're gonna make a couple of us look like dead bodies. Maybe I need to get my hands on some makeup and something that's gonna help us look dead.
You've got some silver, and I think makeup, especially theatrical makeup, is roughly a silver sort of supply.
I've got a length of silk worth silver. I do not, in fact, have any silver.
We can actually just give you a DR10 silver.
Okay. So how do I roll a d20 against the, and then if I'm less than a 10, I don't stress out my silver. Is that right?
You don't stress it. It doesn't cut deeply into your supply.
But if it goes down to a D8 if I roll over the 10, is that right?
Right.
Right, or it goes down to a.
Don't you just roll the 10?
You just roll the 10,
and if you get a 1 to 3, then it steps down.
Oh, it's that. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Yes, rolling a d10. Let's see what we got here. I rolled a 3, so I stressed out my silver, but I got the makeup anyway, right?
Yeah. So it was a little more expensive than you were planning.
Okay, so now my silk is worth a D8 then, right?
Yeah. And I think I want to switch and ask Milton, what are you and Winston doing to sort of get ready for this infiltration?
I think I might actually leave Milton at home and go and try to talk to the alley cats and birds and rats of the district and ask them about ways in and out of the mansion complex.
All right, let me pull up real quick the magic rules, because it's changed a little bit since I last used them. So this does exactly what the spell description says. You don't need a lot of, you don't need instant casting time. Kind of walk you through this. I'm looking at the guidelines on page 19. And these, cats and rats and birds are not specifically difficult, tough targets. And this You don't need it to specifically last more than a minute, correct?
No, not really. I mean, maybe if there's one that is like really chatty and knows a lot of information.
Right.
So yeah, and I haven't really looked at the magic rules here yet much. So is there like a limit of like how many times I can cast per day or anything like that?
No. So every spell costs you a certain number of hit points.
Oh boy.
And you can use components to sort of suck up that time, or just suck up that force.
Mm-hmm.
So you use components like any sort of expendable resource. And then
okay, so but I mean, I guess would each animal I talk to cost me a hit point then, or is it
no?
Okay.
I think then you're kind of doing. So one of the things you look for is generic wording versus very specific wording,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a very specific wording for this spell. Or if what it says on the tin is exactly what you want to do. So, that doesn't get charged against you. One of the things that can get charged against you is like if you need it to go very fast or kind of fire off really quickly,
Mm-hmm.
the hit point cost goes up. You don't really necessarily need a huge area of effect. I might call it extra targets.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll go from a 1 to a 2.
Okay.
It doesn't really do damage or healing. It's not against a particularly powerful. It's not working against a particularly or trying to affect a particularly powerful creature. There's a the duration is a little bit long, so I might go from 2 to 3. And there's a practical effect, so that's 3 to 4. Now you can go buy. You can't go out to the fields and pick them, but you could go buy some of the components you would use for this to get this to work. What might those include?
I don't rightly know.
And that's not
there's
not a right answer there. So.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of something that would fit like flavor and thematically, like what it takes. I think maybe what I need is a little bit of the food that the animals eat, and then we share it. We and that kind of helps create a bond. So like a little bit of cheese to share with the rats, and like a little meat to share with the cats, some seed to share with the birds.
Yeah, and I feel like if they're not satisfied, then you can definitely use your blood to sort of make up the rest.
Sure.
Let me scan down. Kind of lost my place in the equipment table. Yeah, I feel like you can do one of two things. You can just check your silver.
Mm-hmm.
And see if you have silver left over, or you can just buy a bag of copper, exchange part of the silver for a bag of copper.
Mm-hmm.
And then use that to buy sort of the food you'd need.
Okay. So I'm still, sorry, a little fuzzy on how the buying other currency works.
Yeah. So basically like instead of like, oh, here's my $100 bill, let me buy a sandwich. You break your $100 bill into a bunch of fives.
Yeah.
It's essentially what you're doing. But because, you're passing through, old-fashioned money changers, there's a little bit of a fee for breaking
things. Get shortchanged, yeah.
Yeah, you might get shortchanged. So essentially you roll your D10 on your silver and determine whether or not you have, did you get a 1, 2, 3? If so, it steps down to a bag of 8, but you're always going to get a D6 bag of copper at the end of the day.
Okay, so I rolled a 9.
Nice. So yeah, you don't get shortchanged. You're really not tapping into silver resources. You've got a D6 bag of copper, which you now roll.
And And then so does my silver go down to a D8 and then so my silver stays a D10 and I have
unless you get that
copper.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, okay. All right, and I got a 4 on the copper, so it seems like
you still have
tap into the copper.
You have that. You've got a kind of a stack of food, of bits of food that you need, and it's not hard to buy it with copper because I think animals like things that are a little more day old than humans do.
Yeah, and these are street animals too. They're not going to be picky.
And cats love offal, which humans turn up their nose at.
But you have to share it with them.
Yeah, I have to eat a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So it might be a little gross, but yeah.
So I think we said 4 hit point cost for the spell.
Yeah, that's gonna take me down.
Yeah,
okay.
Roll D4.
2.
2. So you're gonna have to mix a little bit of your own blood in this. So it's gonna cost you 2 hit points to kind of cut open your palm and.
So if it's 4 hit points and then 2 to cut into my palm, that puts me at 0 hit
No.
points.
So you've got it's 4 hit points. That D4 you rolled for components. Essentially you're putting that cost on the components.
Oh, okay.
So that it's eating up some of the cost of to you. So it's really only 2 hit. You're only losing 2 hit points.
Okay. All right. So I'm down to 4 hit points, and I've got my bloody food to go and share with all the rats and cats and pigeons of the district.
Right. Roll that D4 again and tell me what half the value is.
I rolled a 1, so half the value is 0.5.
Yeah. So eating. So you're only going to lose 1 hit point because normally once a day you can just eat to sort of regain hit points. Since that was what caused you to lose hit points too.
Okay, so I'm down to 5 instead of.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, so off to the district with.
Yeah, you're You set out the food and what does this look like? What kind of foods are you setting out?
For the rats, just some cheese that's it's starting to go a little moldy. It's like people don't really want it so much anymore. For the pigeons, just some birdseed or maybe some breadcrumbs.
Nice. Okay.
And for the cats, maybe some older fish that's starting to smell funny a bit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And it's all got a little bit of your blood on it. So that they'll be able to talk to you on eating it. That sounds, yeah. What 3 questions do you want to know from the animals?
I want to know what kind of so I'm going to ask the kind of classic apocalypse world questions. What's the best way in? What's the best way out? And who should I be on the lookout for? Like, what should I be on the lookout for when I'm over those walls?
What's the best way in? The rats are notoriously unhelpful. They suggest you go in through the sewer. And then they talk about a pipe that goes up. It's a tight squeeze. But it gets you right into the kitchen. Which is notoriously, like there's a pantry there that's notoriously unguarded. But it's been running low for the past few days. No one's restocked it. The cats are a little more helpful. They tell you the front door opens pretty easily. That
To the house or to the gate?
To the house. Once you're in the gate, they've seen people just knock on the door and open it without any sort of a key or anything like that. In fact, one of the cats says they saw a burglar enter through the front door.
Did they see the burglar exit the front door?
Sitting and watching burglars is boring work.
Yeah, not what they do. Okay.
Do you still want the second question to be what's the best way out?
Yeah. That's actually probably more relevant if we're gonna sneak in as bodies anyway.
The cats are fairly certain that just jumping from the second floor of the tower, where there are large windows, should be sufficient for getting out. The pigeons are fairly certain that the only good way to get out without jumping is to go back out through the main door. There does not seem to be a second exit that anyone knows about, or that any of the animals know about.
Okay.
The rats will repeat the story of the pipe, and they're very certain that they really like the pipe because they frequently get awful from the pipe. And it's a tight squeeze, but they're fairly certain that's the best way in and the best way out. And your last question was, what should you be on the lookout for, correct?
Right, yeah.
The cats will tell you that they think it was after the burglar went in that a demon seemed to have gotten installed. That has a very loud voice and sounds very frightening. Some visitors to the house about a week ago came and upset the demon, and it yelled at them, and they backed out of the house and refused to go in.
Okay. Well, all right.
Anything else you'd like to do after this ritual is over?
No, I think that wraps it up.
Okay. So your plan is to go in as dead bodies. Who is the dead body, and who are the person or people hauling this dead body?
So I think we need to talk that out.
Well, I was thinking we could bribe Hank to take us in, because Hank's been a friendly guy.
Yeah. Do you want to check your silver again?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, yeah, check your silver again.
Okay. It's probably going to tax it out of existence, but that's fine. Oh, that's a 2, yep. So.
Yeah. Hank's a little bit tipsy. He's like, work tonight. And I think, how big is Severnus?
I think he's he's tall and gaunt. Yeah.
you mentioned work to old Hank, and his eyes get sort of glistening, and he stands up, and he reaches for the purse that has the silver in it, and he's just like, "This is the best night ever," and it's just kind of like right off your belt, and he gives you a hug. He's like, "You're the best pal a guy has made in one day."
Yeah, and I just slap him on the back again. I say, "I knew I could count on you, Hank."
Yeah. All right. So this will cover pickup and delivery. Where am I picking up and what am I delivering?
Well, Hank, you're delivering me and a couple of friends.
All right. Is it just like a romantic ride through the park is what you're looking for?
Well, Hank, you see, you said to me earlier that you deliver bodies, cadavers, to the wizard. And my friends and I were thinking maybe we could pretend to be some of those cadavers and find our way into the tower. And you could help us out with that. We've got the papers, Hank.
So do you need me to? I mean, you've been really generous. Do you need me to kill you?
No, Hank, I appreciate the gesture, but you just need to just bring us in there and pretend that we're dead. Pretend we're dead.
Oh, wait, you're not going to be dead.
No, but we got some makeup, so it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, I don't know whether to be relieved to that you're going to be around to hire me more often. I mean, work's been getting slow. You know.
Yeah, don't you worry about that, Hank. We'll be around.
The Honorable Lassard's not been terribly forthcoming with work this last week or so, and I get a little free with the money.
Well, I know how that is, Hank, and I like point to the silver bag that he's got.
Yeah. Man, if you hadn't come along, I would have been back to drinking at the Rat.
That's no good.
And yeah, so all right. I'm just relieved, but we've not taken a look in that other purse, and if you were dead, then you wouldn't have much need for it. But yeah, it would go to your next of kin, of course.
Of course, Hank. Of course.
Right, these bodies you're taking in have papers?
Yes, of course. They're all prepared.
All right. If we're inspected, I have to have papers saying that proper anatomical study, subjects, and all that stuff. I can't read.
Well,
at least not when I'm drinking.
Yes. I have a learned friend who's helped us out with that.
Right. All right. So where am I picking you up?
Well, I guess like maybe, I don't know, down by the docks or something, like just anywhere that seems plausible.
Oh, yeah. We can pick you up there. All right.
And
sorry, I'm gonna switch scenes real quick, unless you have something you need to ask him.
Not Hank. No, I just have one other thing I'd like to do before we go in there, and that's it. Yeah.
Although you were gonna do paint or face paint on people just to kind of get them looking dead. And what's your strategy on getting people to look dead?
My strategy?
Yeah.
So a couple of things. I still probably have some scars from the demon attack because I'm low on hit points. I should probably make the eating roll to get some of those back, but I presume
Yeah, you can make that twice at least.
Okay, so maybe I should just go ahead and do that. What's the roll that I need to make in order to
just roll your, let me see what you got.
roll what?
Just roll those roll a d4.
A d4.
Yeah, and you can actually just you had that.
Okay, let me grab a d4. All right, here we go. Roll it twice, you said?
Yeah, roll it twice.
All right, 3, 4.
All right, so just because it's been a few days, and I'm assuming you've bought other food besides your bread and ham. Yeah, you just add back, 7 of those hit points.
Okay. So my bread and ham are gone. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh.
Your bread and ham are gone, but you'll have plenty of time to buy other food.
Okay. Bread and ham are gone. 7 hit points back puts me up to 14 out of my 15. Okay, so here's my plan. I've got the makeup. I've got scars. So I'm going to use the makeup to sort of make myself look dead, accentuate some of the scars. We already established that Severnus is gaunt, and so we're going to accentuate that and make him look like a corpse. And we're going to do our best on Milton as well.
Do you want Milton to look like a corpse, or do you want him to do something else?
He could be helping Hank.
There are 2 bodies.
Yeah.
Milton, does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. I could be a corpse. I've also got some ritual scarring, but that would make it harder to bring Winston the dog in, which might be helpful. So, maybe I'll just be Hank's assistant.
Right. Okay.
With a dog.
What was the one last thing you wanted to do there, Severnus?
Yeah, so, first I want to try to get some more silver here. Just do a quick roll. And so that's another d6. Oh, I got a 3, so that means I'm taxed, right?
Yeah, your Electrum goes down to a d4, but you do have another
d6 silver.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here we go. So this is dr4, and then silver dr6. Okay. So I want to go to that Huguenot church that was mentioned before, and I want to talk to them about maybe sort of helping to redeem their reputation by maybe giving me some kind of holy symbol to combat demons. So that's my aim here.
The Huguenots are, let's see it. One of the associate ministers greets you, and it's just like, I've heard there was trouble the other night. The pastor said it was nothing, that he was just merely meeting with some other community leaders, and there was lots of suspicion. I'm hoping that we're not wasting your time. What can we do for you?
Yeah, and I say, well, yes, there's suspicion and rumors on the street. Sorry to say that the reputation of your church is, well, it's been tarnished by recent events, and to put it frankly. And I'm a man who understands very well what it is to have a tarnished reputation and to want to set that reputation straight. I'm trying to walk the path of righteousness, my friend. And part of that is combating the demonic influences of the adversary on our city. I was wondering if you could perhaps provide me with some tools to help with that.
We are, we are people who disdain iconography.
Of any kind?
Well, I mean, a simple cross.
And that is all I need.
Go ahead and make that a charisma check. I mean, you're shaking him down. This is something you do.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it at advantage.
Okay. No. 20 and a 16.
Yeah.
Nope.
He looks straight at your you said okay, and he looks straight at you and is like, looks at your purse and goes like, okay.
Of course, I can assist with the replenishment of the church coffers. Be glad to donate to a holy cause.
He sort of like moves the alms box,
Yeah,
in your direction slightly.
So I guess I'll try to drop a bag of silver in there. Let's see how that goes. Oh, I got a 4. It's a success. Okay.
He's like, well, thank you. That was very generous. We've recently, for the sanctuary, gotten a lovely little silver cross to go on the communion table. We for a long time it had this pewter cross that was made by the former chief pastor's great grandfather. He pulls out, a lovely sort of, pewter cross, and he it's nice, simple, no ornamentation.
And
I
accept it if he hands it to me.
Oh yeah, he's like, yes. We would love to for this to find a good home.
Yes. Well,
it may inspire reflection on your destiny.
Thank you very much. Find that
as
when
you inspired the good work that this community will continue to do.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. And take it and be on my way. All right. So I'm adding that to my inventory then.
Hank picks you all up, and I think I won't make you roll for normally we'd sort of go through the process of picking up, how picking up coffins, but let's kind of move past that. Hank picks you all up. And the two of you are in the kind of simple wooden coffins that you're able to buy pretty easily. Loads you into the back of his ox cart, and then sort of opens the top of Severnus's and just like, I'm not going to have to split this purse with the other guy, right? He's got his own payment, right?
No, he's spoken for, and I'm like in the coffin, like looking up at him, and I'm holding the crucifix to my chest, something. Yeah.
Look, you.
Don't worry, Hank. We've got it all under control.
That Lassard's got nothing on you, sir. That Lassard's got nothing on you. Generous, like, that's, blots his eye. That's what you are. All right. And Milton, he gets in the bed of the wagon. He gets in the front of the wagon alongside you and sort of gets his ox to start moving slowly along the street. And he's kind of thumps a clay bottle of wine next to him and says, like, I'd really only brought enough for me, but feel free to have a swig or two if that's what you like.
Oh, okay.
I
take a swig to be polite.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It is not good stuff. It is the kind of
it's quite good.
It's really dry.
Yeah.
It's pucker mouth dry.
It has a good mouth feel.
Yeah, the kind of stuff you buy when you get a good paying person. And he thumps the top of Severnus's coffin.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good, honest, paying practical.
Yeah.
That's the kind of work you need to look for, son.
That's what I'm interested in.
He's possibly at least 2 years younger than you.
Yep. That's me, all right.
The kind of wine fancy people buy.
Yeah, this is some of the fanciest wine I've had. It may have been the only wine I've had, but
it sounds like you come from out east, so you've probably been to church at least at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like water is good to drink.
Yeah. Maybe some cider, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Although you're feeling pretty secure in those documents. Would you hand it over to Hank, who did not even look at him?
Yeah. I think they're going to work.
And Milton, you see a group of the city watch go by, and they nod at you. They kind of doff their sort of cappy helms at you. And they don't seem really interested. And then right as you get near the gates of Lassard Tower, Hank's been nipping at this wine all this whole slow trip from the river. And a group of the Baron's Guard kind of wave you down and ask Hank what he's got there. And Hank looks at him a little wide-eyed and kind of winks at him and reaches in for his papers. Sort of hands them over. And they look back at you and Hank, and they can see Hank is getting a little tipsy, and they sort of pat him on the arm, and they look at you, and it just like hold the papers out, and he's just like, this not the north part of the city. This is not the Emir's territory. It's Baron Darilis's territory. And these are not properly signed for transporting a dead body across the river. We have to, properly make sure papers are filled out, because we don't want any nefarious deeds going on with the dead bodies. We want to make sure it's all proper medical research. And it would be very unfortunate if proper medical research got slowed down because you had the wrong papers there. I'm not really sure what to do in this situation. I know that Master Lassard is a good and wealthy man. And hate to wake him up because you didn't get the right papers. Be terribly unfortunate and all.
Yeah, it would. It really would be. I think he would be quite upset if you woke him up because of a clerical error.
It would be
probably be worth your while to just let it pass through. I mean, there's but the Lord. He's not he's not up to anything nefarious here. What's he gonna do with a pair of old corpses anyway?
Because noblemen don't get up to nefarious purposes here in East Tredroy. I mean, we have the right kind of noblemen here, and
quite right.
But what a jerk the Baron's been being recently. And
the Baron least of all wants to be woken in the night over petty disputes over paperwork.
Yeah, but then if we find out that it's the wrong paperwork, we get into all sorts of hassle, and he can really just knock you on the chops. When he might even dock our pay.
Well,
wouldn't that be the worst? Dock our pay. And then,
so while
what would my girlfriend do for,
Yeah. Well, I just kind of start playing with my copper purse, not the bag with silver in it. And I just kind of put it out where he can kind of reach it and see it, but I don't actually say anything.
Milton, make a charisma check.
Sure. Oh, that is a fail.
He's like, well, his lieutenant sort of comes up, and she's like, well, sir, you never did date people who had economic aspirations. So it's just, some of us have economic aspirations, though. And she's sort of it'd be unfortunate if we had to think that you were trying to to bribe the guard of a baron, and all you offered us was copper.
Oh dear, was that? I think I had the wrong bag here.
It could just be that you only want to show us your proper Cardiel minted coins. I mean, you might have, you know.
Yeah, so I pull out some of the silver, and yeah, what some docked pay, is not a big problem when you've got friends to look out for you.
Oh yes, certainly, the captain and the lieutenant sort of look at each other and just like, well, we certainly can't accept bribes, but
we're friends, right?
Those silver
and friends help each other.
Well, also that could be improperly minted coins there. We better take some to inspect them. That's a much more serious offense than transporting bodies with the improper documentation. Right? We better take some to inspect them. Sounds
good.
Why don't you check your silver?
Okay.
If you get a 1, 2, 3, it goes down.
Yeah. It's a 4.
Oh yeah. They take just a few, spread them out. They're like, you're the good sort. You're the right sort of. You're a person who does the people of East Tredroy proud.
Just want to keep the looms working.
Right. We'll make sure to get back in touch if anything's wrong with these coins.
Sounds good.
And they shuffle you in. I think Hank has a key to open the gates, though he's doing kind of a slow process job of it. And then he gets you in, and as the cat said, you can see that the front door is not even closed properly. In fact, it seems to be vaguely ajar.
Oh, can we do a quick flashback scene here? I wanted to ask Alda. Alda, how exactly did you defeat the clay demon the first time around? Did it have any weaknesses?
Oh, geez. I'm trying to remember the details. I don't think I was the one that actually defeated it. I was trying to shove it out the window. What did the rabbi do?
I think there was a lot of physical force, and then your shoving out the window actually caused it to sort of stop moving.
Yeah, and then it turned into clay. I thought there was something else going on with it, though. There was some fire as well at the same time, wasn't there?
I would have to check the recording. I've blanked out. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It got shoved out a window. I do believe that there was some fire at the same time. So no, we don't really know exactly. It stopped moving, and it was actually made out of clay at that point.
Well, I've definitely got my torches then. I'll be ready.
So Hank is able to. Hank is not paying much attention to the door, so he's gone up the little stairs and the short staircase and sort of pushed the door open. And it's, the front portion is a vestibule. So there's a door into the wider house, and he just starts like, are you gonna? I didn't back this up so that I thought you'd be helping carry. Sorry if that's presumptuous. And he goes to try to
all right.
Alva's coffin out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll try to help him as best I can. Yeah.
The two of you can get them up the stairs into the vestibule. And then after you guys kind of sit them down, he tells you that you guys are definitely the good sort. And he leaves and gets in his cart and starts to pull away. You're in the vestibule, doors open, but the tower door is on the far side. The tower looks to be about 3 stories high. There's definitely like a lot of windows along the second story. It would not be a fortified tower. It's sort of been expanded to sort of be one of those buildings that sort of looks like a fortified tower. But all the curtains on all the windows on both the upper and lower floor, on the second and lower floor, are drawn. What do you do?
So we're through the gate, but we're not, and we've got the wood coffins there, but we're not actually. We haven't gone through we didn't carry it through the door or anything yet. We're still outside of the tower.
Right.
Okay. Well, I guess I open the coffins and let the others out.
Yeah. Climb out of there. Smell like cedar, something like that. Maybe I have a little bit of a sneeze because it's like, I've been in the cedar box for a while, and
cedar's a great smell if you're not allergic to it.
Yeah, but allergies are working up a bit. Let's see. Thanks.
So the 3 of you are out of the coffins. You're in this vestibule. The tower looks to be dark. What's your plan?
Okay, flashback again. What's the actual plan once we get in?
Yeah. So we were trying to investigate this guy, right? That was the point.
Yeah, because we believe that he might have made this demon or summoned it or something. So,
and we know there's a kitchen in the basement, right?
And with a steadily diminishing pantry, and there's also probably a demon here that watches guard and is loud and scary, or at least cats find it loud and scary. I mean,
yes,
maybe it's just a vacuum cleaner. We don't know for sure.
So, I mean,
it did drive at least one group of people off.
Yeah.
Yes. And we also know that entry and exit in the second floor is not a problem, right?
Well, the second floor it's not so. We could potentially go jump out those windows. The cats think that would be safe to a human, but the pigeons are less certain that would be. So I don't know. Actually, we can see it now. Like, does it look safe to jump out those windows?
Yeah, I will tell you, when you asked about entrance and exit, the pigeons did pitch in that they.
The only way without jumping was through the door.
The pigeons did pitch in. This is a flashback to correct something that I left out of the pigeons' answer. They were just like, well, you can fly. And when you corrected them on the fact that you could not fly, they were like, oh. And then one of the pigeons says, well, I thought humans could fly. I could swear I've seen them fly. You can fly in to the tower. It's really very easy. I suppose you could fly away. And then they brought up several times. They were really certain humans could fly.
Okay.
So that might be our best approach. Flying to the top of the tower and seeing if we can find anything up there.
Unfortunately, humans cannot fly.
Well, but we have magic.
You do have magic.
We could, yeah, we could do it. I mean, you can do a spontaneous spell that's not on your spell list at the cost of hit points to do it.
Yeah, essentially what you're usually doing is trying to make one of your spells fit the thing you want to do, which is why some people name a very general spell. But that the hit point cost then is bigger.
Yeah.
The more of a stretch it is for one of your named spells.
Oh yeah, it's a way stretch. I mean, I've got a spell called Fireworks, and I've got a spell called Fortune Telling.
Yeah.
So not so much on the flying, but what? Okay, so what if we use a grappling hook to get up there? How tall is this tower?
The tower's 3 stories.
Okay, and is there like any other buildings in the courtyard that we could get on top of to try to make it an easier climb?
It is a wall, but it's far enough. The tower is far enough set away from the wall that that would not be. It would not be. Your rope would be so long that you'd be swinging back to the ground level.
Sure. Okay, so what about using the grappling hook to get in the 2nd story window?
There is that. I mean, there is the door from the vestibule to the ground floor in front of you. You can climb to the 2nd story window.
Okay.
You potentially can climb to the very top, but you would that would be a little bit trickier to.
I am willing to attempt that.
To the very top?
Yeah, but I guess I need to roll to get the climbing gear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just make a copper roll.
Actually, I'm going to say climbing gear is expensive enough that it's standard. It's on that silver gear list.
Silver? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make that roll right now. Okay, my silver is taxed.
Your silver's taxed? Oh, so it's down to a D4. So that's your grappling hooks, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to test it again for anything more complex than grappling hooks?
Well, I was thinking more like just like climbing gear in general, so like rope, grappling hook. What else could we need? I think at the moment I'm probably pretty good. Yeah. Maybe like some boots to help me get up there. I don't know.
I would need you to test your silver again.
Okay, I'll do it.
Actually, I'm going to have you test your electrum on that. Those are pretty specialized.
Okay.
I mean, this is,
probably,
and they're also a little bit. They're a little shady.
All right.
It's not like Tredroy has rock climbing clubs.
Yeah. All right. So my electrum is gone.
Okay, but you've got some spike boots.
Yeah. All right.
And the rope is included with the grappling hook.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I want to get up there.
All right. What about anybody else?
Well, so when he bought his climbing gear, that was just for him. So we'll all need to test separately, or
well, you'll all have access to the rope and grappling hook, unless you all go up like
but not the boots, because that was expensive.
Yeah.
I think once I get up there, it should be pretty easy to
help the rest of us up,
to get the rope secured and just help the rest of you up.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll leave Winston down here as a guard dog and tell him to bark like a 3 times, and then pause, and then 1 time if something's coming to the front door, if someone's coming to the front door. Should I do a hit point or a roll for that?
Yeah.
Because it's not like
That's essentially using like one of your special abilities.
Well, I have as a special ability that I have a loyal and trained dog.
Yeah,
but that's,
I
but I think
I won't even make you use that up. I mean, just like standing
Okay.
guard is a thing that any dog got. Yeah,
okay.
and also Winston is a good sheepdog. He's gonna bark if anything comes by.
Okay.
That's not supposed to be there. So I'm not going to make you use your ability up at this point, unless there's some like obvious advantage to you. Alva, anything you want to do specific to getting in? I mean,
I think once we get the hook up there, I'm going to be able to follow on the rope. So
that's awesome. Let's see how that testing the rope thing goes, and then we'll go to break from there.
All right, so
you're a practical again, so let's roll with advantage with strength.
Okay. Yeah, I got a bunch of equipment too, so with strength, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a 4. All
Nice.
right, that's a success. My first success.
Congratulations. I think you're heading up with the you're heading up. You're able to clear onto the top of the tower, and you see what the pigeons are talking about. What are you doing for light once you get up here? Doing anything for light? I mean, the courtyard in moonlight, once you're sort of up next to the tower, is okay. I mean,
So I'm on top of the tower though, right? So it should be illuminated.
No, there's nothing. There's no lights on the tower.
Oh no, I mean like by the moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it is hard to like make out detail of like what's on the ground or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I have like a small lantern. So I'll try to get one of those.
Copper's fine for that.
What's that? Copper? Yeah. Okay.
Or if you just want some torches.
I think a torch might be a little too conspicuous, so I'm gonna go for the. Okay, so that's my copper's taxed. But yeah, I got it. Yeah.
And you can also use this to signal.
Yeah. So it's like a, I don't know, belt lantern or something. Yeah, so I'm gonna have a quick look around, and then I'll signal the others.
Right. Yeah, when you look around, there is oddly, I mean, a lot of pigeon poop. Not odd. What is odd though is without a lot of pigeon poop on it, so clearly not been up here very long. There is a rather sizable, beautifully made rug or carpet, sort of rolled out across the top of the tower.
Okay.
There's nothing else here that suggests that people came up here. Like I said, this thing was sort of built in a tower style, but with more formal living quarters, clearly on the first and second floor. And the what would be the trap door leading down into the tower itself seems to be vaguely like, it's not left open, but it's not fully closed either. It looks like someone sort of like removed it from its hinged area and then just sort of left it sort of sitting over the area that it's supposed to cover, but not thoroughly.
Okay.
It's rained recently, and it's clearly like water has leaked down into that trapdoor area.
Okay. So I want then to leave my lantern like a ways from the trapdoor on the top of the roof. So it's like, like horizontally the light is hitting the area, but it's not going down in there. So it's not conspicuous. And then I'm going to just have a little peek inside, see if I can see anything in there.
Maybe it's the chimney effect of it being a tower. But as soon as you sort of move that sort of wooden door away, like there's sort of this, it's not a rush of air. It's like all of a sudden, like the stale air underneath that door sort of just slowly rises. And it smells like something died. In fact, it smells like not even a morgue or not even a mortuary. It just smells intensely of death.
Okay.
There's a very irony blood smell, a kind of smell of rot.
Yeah. All right. Well,
and there's I mean, like in the sort of the light of the belt lantern, you can just see the stairs sort of going down sort of along the edge of the tower.
So I'm
like on the inner edge of the tower. Sorry, just to clarify.
Okay, so here's my idea here. I'm gonna even though I'm not really a very literate person, I'm gonna try to scrawl a simple note with my calligrapher's tools and just drop it down to the others saying that someone died up here.
The two of you already sort of heading up, or are you waiting for the signal?
Oh yeah, I think I was gonna follow on the rope.
Okay, I was gonna wait for the signal.
Okay,
although you were gonna start following, gonna start climbing.
Yeah, so maybe help Alva up.
I think between having the rope and having somebody help you, I'm not going to ask you. That'd be two sources of advantage, and I'm not going to ask you to roll once you got two sources of advantage. Yeah, I think, but like having the rope firmly secured and grappled, and having somebody sort of pull you, Alva, you're good. And then Milton, you get the letter. Or the piece of paper that sort of drifts down past Alva, and it's simple words. It's just someone dead up here.
I don't think I can read.
Yeah, that's all right. 1 second. Yeah, you are kind of a country shepherd. Make an intelligence check at advantage. Yeah, just make a straight up intelligence check.
Okay. Oh, that is a critical failure.
Oh man, yeah, you definitely. I think it may not be that you're completely illiterate, but you're kind of having to make your way in the kind of Creole patois languages they use in this city. You do not, between the like hasty scrawling and the mishmash of words that you've heard spoken and possibly understood but never seen written out. There's a lot of French and Italian here which are not spoken in the countryside. And then there's anglicized Arabic words, and it's the Creole here is weird, is something that a kid from the country would definitely struggle to see written, or not anglicized, but transliterated Arabic words. So up here is pretty much all you get.
Okay. All right.
Are you heading up?
Yeah. He's
All right, so
you guys are
Or
on the roof
all
of the
three of
tower?
us on top. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I just sort
And
of
I think I'm going to do just let's do just a 5-minute break. Is that fine?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do
You guys
it.
are on the roof. You're looking down. You see the stairs kind of go down along the edge of the wooden stairs go down along the edge of the inner tower, and you see the tops of lots of shelves down below. And you smell that it's less strong now that it's gotten out into the open air, but you smell death from down below you. Let's be back at 35 after the hour.
right.
Folks, Paul, a second to get back. But I'll ask you, is there anything else you are just really quickly kind of wishing we can make sure we do, whether it's setting, whether it's story, whether it's system, before we have about an hour left?
I think we've kind of covered most of the setting, to be honest, except for the overland stuff, or not most of the game systems, except for the overland stuff. But we're not going to do that.
Child of the '90s, you can't ever fully cover a setting, or it's not a good setting. There's always going to be at least 4 more books.
Yeah, of course.
All right. I'm not a child of the 90s. I'm actually a child, embarrassed to admit it, but I'm a child of the 80s, even though I look really young. But I sort of came of role-playing age in the 90s when, no setting had less than 12 books for it. This was, at the time, the easiest setting to get into with only 3.
Wow. Yeah.
So in the 90s, 3 books passed for a really simple setting.
Yeah.
That was a player-facing, player-driven setting in the 90s.
I was mostly just reading setting books in the 90s. So I guess
just because you didn't dare run a setting and then run one because then you had that one player who told you everything you got wrong about it.
Oh yeah.
And they were so well written. Why would you mess it up by running a game in it? All right. So you're looking down at the tops of shelves and a small narrow staircase that leads along the edge of the tower's wall down into the 3rd floor. And in the little light of your belt lantern.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to take off my spiked boots just to not be the loudest thing imaginable when I go down those stairs.
I'm going to say your belt lantern has a D8 usage.
Okay.
Before the oil goes out.
Yep.
You've also got some. You've got some torches.
That's a DR8,
Milton. Yeah, that's a DR8. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought I had torches in my gear, but I don't. So I guess should I do a copper roll for that?
Yeah, you can make a copper check.
Okay.
I mean, you will have them.
Yeah, I've got them, and no damage to the copper.
Yeah, torches are pretty easy to come by. You need them at home. You need them, if your boss likes a creepy sort of dungeon or creepy 3rd floor, they add ambience.
And I think I'll probably proceed down the stairs with my hand crossbow drawn and the holy symbol out in front of me.
Yeah, and you've got the lantern sort of dangling from your belt.
Yeah, from the belt, yeah.
All right. So you're going first down those stairs?
I think so. Unless someone else wants to be the brave one.
My primary weapon is a maul.
Okay, so yeah, you might want to go first then.
I can go first.
Okay. And my primary weapon is a whip, and or a bunch of shiny rocks that I can throw.
The back with the rocks.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you as long as you're casting light that allows me to see, I can go first down the stairs.
Sure.
As you head down, you're heading into this is a sizable, short, squat tower. It's 3 stories high. It's pretty wide. And you are heading into an area of densely packed bookshelves, Alva, that have a variety of different kinds of tomes and codexes. Some of the newer sort of Quattro books you've seen, and some well put together folios, as well as a lot of loose papers and things sort of bound in scroll style or just sort of tied up in bundles that seem to be vaguely labeled. And they are, and Alva, you know, it's hard to sense this if this is the case, but seeing a carpet just sitting on a roof like that would suggest to you it was a means of transportation.
Yeah, that was my thought when we saw it. The fact that the pigeon said that humans could fly, and then we find a nice carpet on the roof.
As an experienced Tredroyan, people don't like to show it off, but people do fly around on flying carpets occasionally in the evening, especially.
So based on my knowledge, I mean, typically you need some sort of command word or something like that to make a carpet fly.
Probably need a command word, or command word seems to be the typical way you've heard of.
Yeah.
I think your former masters possibly had one.
So if I needed to find out a command word for a carpet, how would I go about doing that? Would that be, is it woven into it? Is it?
It's not usually woven into it because then it's easily stealable. You might be able to sort of warp your fortune telling to sort of divine a command word.
Yeah.
But usually they are passed down orally or written somewhere that is secure.
Yeah. Right. In the grand tradition of passwords involving, multiple special characters, numbers in upper and lower case, it's probably written down on a piece of scrap paper, posted on it.
Yeah, woven into the edge of the carpet.
Yeah, exactly. If we need to make a hasty getaway, it would not be a bad idea to
try to find that out. Yeah,
to try and find that out.
But right now you're heading down with your maul, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we smell a dead body, I think we need to prioritize the investigation of the dead body, and we can figure out the password for the rug.
It seems to be that there seems to be a more open area. In the area opposite where the stairs come down. It's hard to see from up top, but it seems like the shelves sort of like
open up. So there's like a... All right, so that's where we're going.
So you're coming down the stairs. You got the little bit of light from the belt lantern. And then you see what looks like from between the shelves a dead body sort of pulling itself along by its hands and sort of...
So you have a different definition of dead than I do.
This is clearly a dead body by the fact that its face looks really dead.
Okay. But it's crawling.
Yeah.
And you can smell it.
Yeah, okay.
Does that
smells like a dead body, looks like a dead body.
Sort of like cured or preserved in some way.
Yeah, all right.
Its flesh is sort of faded onto it, which in the the river water, the heavy like junction of river humidity is not something you see a lot in Tredroy.
So what kind of clothing is it wearing?
It is actually wearing what would look like servant's clothes.
Yeah.
Something nice, but clearly indicates like supposed to fade into the background. And it's pulling itself toward the staircase while trying to sort of like turn itself so it can look up at you. And its mouth is sort of wide open.
Really?
And it's coming towards you and looking up.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to crush its head with my maul.
Uh,
I'm brandishing my holy symbol in its general direction.
I've got a rock at the ready.
Although make a strength roll.
All right, what is my strength?
Your strength is 12, it looks like.
That's pretty good. Let's hope. I rolled a 1. That is a critical something, isn't it? Or does that mean I stressed out my maul?
No, that is a critical. That is an awesome. Although, roll your d10 twice, or roll it once and double what you get.
Total of 8.
Total of 8. You were aiming for its head, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, its head is not really there anymore.
Oh.
It's not a mess in the way you might expect it to be a mess because it's been clearly dead for a while.
Yeah.
Which could be why it sort of came off so easily.
Yeah.
And it just sort of slumps to the ground and stops moving.
Yuck.
And then almost as if it emanates from the neck of the body before it slumps, you hear a whisper, and it's hard for anyone but Alva to really hear it. It's like, I'm sorry, but weapons really must be, and then it just sort of fades.
Huh.
Where did that voice come from?
It came from the neck. And you see why the zombie was pulling itself along. Its lower legs seem to have been... One of them seems to be broken and the other one seems to be partially ripped off.
Okay.
So
yeah, so I just say I feel like that thing is probably the least of our worries. Point to the legs.
Yeah. Wonder what it was saying about weapons.
Looks like it was a servant. Maybe it was still doing its duty and asking us to leave them at the door.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you think we should?
No.
Well,
You might be right, but
it might be seen as a sign of aggression if we don't leave them.
Well, let's have a little bit more of a look around, and then we'll think about this disarming ourselves in front of a demon idea.
yeah, okay. So
Fair enough.
We can walk around the zombie and go more toward this open area.
You definitely hear something else moving in the stacks as you head towards the more open area. But it also sounds like it's pulling itself along sort of slowly.
I'm gonna try to track the sound.
What are the rest of you doing? Moving towards the open area, tracking the sound.
I'm moving towards the open area as well.
So Alva and Milton, you get to an area and you see a man dressed, or you see a man's body dressed in really nice robes with a lot of embroidery on them. But they're sort of house robes, and he seems to be wearing, like, there's a nightcap sort of fallen near his body. And the sword that killed him is still sort of sticking in his chest. Standing behind his desk on top of a body that looks like it was a knight of some sort. They're not like fully armored, but dressed in sort of I'm sort of going around the street sort of clothes of a knight. And you can't see what kind of knight, or if it was an order, a nobleman or something like that. You would have to turn the body over, but stabbed through the back with a spear. The spear is being held by a skeleton who is standing next to another skeleton. And as soon as the two of you emerge, both the skeletons' heads just sort of pivot slowly to look in your direction. So Severus?
You might want to banish them. Can you banish them?
Severinus, sorry. Switching over to you really briefly. You come around the corner of a bookcase, and it's another zombie. This one who looks like lower portion of its body has just sort of been like severed away by some sort of sword thrust or an axe thrust of some sort. And it's pulling itself along and looks up at you and says, "Can I take your coat, sir? Please, no weapons in the household."
And I just I think I just let's see, maybe I use my quarterstaff to try to bash its head in.
Go ahead and roll strength. You're standing sort of over it. It's not moving very fast. Roll at advantage.
Okay. Oh, that's a 3.
Nice. Roll your
Yeah.
damage on that real quick.
Okay, quarterstaff is a D6. That's a 5.
Nice. It struck you that as it was talking, the mouth was not moving, so it doesn't quite surprise you, but maybe creeps you out a little that really no weapons in is the last thing you hear.
It's flat.
Even as you hit it, like you hit the top of its head and it stops moving. You were asking about banishing the skeletons, Alva, I believe.
Yeah, but Severnus is the one with the holy symbol, so
Right. The skeletons do not seem to be moving toward you. They just turn to look at you.
oh yeah.
There is one other body nearby that looks like something. It's also dressed like a knight. It's also face down. But from the top, it looks like whoever this knight was, they were ancient and withered already. They look like they were about to fall over, and their dry gray hair, and their withered skin. You can't really see the face since it's fallen face down, but you can see how withered the hands are, how withered the hair is. It's just sort of lying near the desk, not too far from the body of the person who was of the man who was stabbed in what looked like his night robes. The skeletons are just looking at you.
If we don't give up our weapons, we might end up like these guys.
I think so. There's two of them. There's three of us.
And I think if I come around to, hear the sound of voices talking and walk over there, and I just say, looks like maybe the wizard summoned those skeletons to protect him from the knights.
Maybe. They're not attacking us.
Yeah. So I think if we don't go close to the wizard, they might not bother us. But that might be a problem.
Yeah, the wizard's dead.
Yeah, so what further... So, we know what happened to him. Can we identify this guy at all? Can we figure out who the night robe dude is?
What would you do to do that?
Did we have a description of him from, so I guess our group sort of learned about this task in the past, from rumors. Was that right?
From being a practical, would you be able to recognize a sigil or anything that's on him?
That's possible, yeah.
Roll intelligence at advantage.
Okay. Rolling now. 4. Yeah.
Nice. This is indeed Lassard. Tell me
the wizard guy on the floor.
Yeah. Or at least indeed it's the house of Lassard, whose emblem is on the robes.
And he was a loner. We know he's a loner.
What two things do you also remember about the house of Lassard? Or what two questions do you have about the house or about the wizard? Or his, something history-ish.
Okay.
You might have learned already that would help you recognize him. What questions could I answer for you? What two things?
So we already know he was probably dabbling in necromancy. That much is obvious from the rumors and from what we've seen here. We know he's generally a loner. We know he's a wizard. We know he kind of left behind his house, right? He chose not to inherit so that he could pursue magical research. Right. So he was probably estranged from his house to some degree.
Right.
So about the house of Lassard, I want to know, do they have any sort of history of demonic entanglements?
No, they specifically do not have a history of demonic entanglements. They're a Catholic family who has a significant donor history.
Okay.
They are big donors, including the Honorable Lord Lassard.
Okay.
I keep botching what you should call, a child of barons or whatever, but
Yeah. But I also would like to know if like they had if there was a known feud that he might have had with one of the knightly orders in town.
There was no. I mean, wizards have enemies with other wizards.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you've heard of it. But whatever this group was that was meeting in that Huguenot church, included strangely officers of several of the knightly orders.
Mm.
And that's some of the the more subtle instances of assholery have involved low-ranking officers of the knightly orders, for instance, refusing to pay for services, insisting that contracting services from members of other communities and then refusing to pay after those services are rendered, and just acting like general snobs outside the reputation of their orders.
So does someone else want to try to identify those knights? Especially the old guy. That's the one I'm interested in.
Well, we've got a whole library of stuff here. So, and I have a whole life history of clerical work. So it might not be that difficult for me to find some volume of heraldry, that would, make it easy to identify who these guys are. So I can look around for.
Yeah, you don't see a lot without turning over the bodies. It's kind of those. It's the back of the gambeson does not have the full heraldic colors on it. It's just kind of like a flat piece of cloth.
Yeah,
sure.
You will need to turn over the bodies to get a look.
Okay, well, I'm gonna sort of try brandishing the holy symbol at the skeletons and see if it does anything.
Go ahead and roll wisdom.
Okay, I think my wisdom is really bad. Let's see. Well, it's an 11. Could be worse. All right, here we go. 2. Hey, I'm lucky.
Well done. You pull out the holy symbol, and both of them seem to they just were frozen in battle stance. One of them sort of had their spear ready to thrust at this other body that the other one clearly got to first. The one whose body is spear is embedded in the back of the one guy just sort of lets go of the spear and stands back. It's sort of an attention stance. And the other one whose spear is sort of frozen sort of in place as if it's about to thrust, just sort of pulls it up almost halberd style and stands at attention. And then they both together sort of sink to one knee.
Hey, there you go. Now you've got 2 skeletons.
We got friends. Skele-friends. Great.
He's got a dog. Right. You've got skeletons.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So I say, well, that power of the Lord delivers. And
All right,
yeah,
so I'll go turn over one of these bodies and take a look at the heraldry on there.
The one that's stabbed, or the one that's
I mean, I'll do it to both.
okay. Which one are you doing first? Just
The stabbed one.
okay. That one you have to the unpleasant
spear.
process of taking the spear out of it and turning it over.
Yeah.
And the gambeson it's wearing, buttoned up to the neck. Has a the front that suggests that it's a member of one of the Islamic orders known as the Order of the Quill, who are known for their scholarship as well as their martial prowess. That are also known for not being specifically sworn to one of the to one of the two significant rulers of one of the Islamic nations. They pride themselves on their independence.
Okay.
And it was, this one was clearly run through with a spear, but put up a significant fight with something. Yeah. There seemed to be weird open wounds around its neck and around its hands. And it's the wounds seem to go below the line of the gambeson, both coming up its arms and coming down its neck.
That's kind of weird.
So Milton was a, let's see
healer.
Here. Yeah, you've got healing. So I wonder if that would be a justification to check out these wounds, see if you learn anything.
Well, it's magic healing, but I don't know if I could learn anything from knowing how to do magical healing. What you think, Ref?
You could certainly try something.
Like, can I do it without casting, just by doing wisdom, or?
Yeah, you can just make a wisdom check and see.
Okay. That's a pass.
You can definitely see that these are wounds that were opened by magic, by some sort of curse.
Oh, curse magic.
Which means that the wounds would be traveling toward something.
How so?
In other words, that they initiate. They initiate, in the visible part of the skin and then travel inward toward something.
Okay.
That has been named in the curse.
So like heart attack or something, and
right,
his heart ruptured or something like that.
Though you suspect it would be something that would be more physically You know, usually when wounds move like this, they're striking at something that has been identified about the person. That is identifying about them, like their name or their.
Hmm.
You know, certainly in the
So they were targeted either. So the curse targeted them for who they were, or maybe something that they did, or something,
Yes.
or that it only applied, or the category of person that they belong to in some way.
Right. Other, were you going to look at that other body as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the other body.
Okay. As you flip it over, it's wearing the livery colors on the front of the Gamba Center, the Knight of St. Christopher's. The Catholic order that is anti-crusades and, you know, famously tolerant and beloved by everyone in Tredroy.
Yes.
It is,
Go ahead.
it's a dark-haired, fair skin, or sorry, it's, you know, white-haired. The skin seems to have been very, very fair, but maybe that's just the fact that this thing looks like it's been withered. Like this body has been, despite the, you know, the freshness of the clothes, the body looks like it has been dead for ages and buried in the desert.
Yeah.
A matter of years, not days.
So does he have a sword sheath? Is he carrying?
No, he has a sword sheath, but the sword is not in it.
Yeah. Does that sword sheath match the sword that's in the wizard?
Yeah, it's about the right size.
Yeah. So you know, Martin and Severnus, tell me if you're thinking the same way that I'm thinking. That you know, here are these, you know, members of knightly orders, 2 different knightly orders, and here they are, you know, in a fight with a necromancer. Seems to me they came here to get the job done and they failed, or sort of failed because he's laying here dead. But they lost their lives in the process, and he threw a ton of creepy magic at them, curses and, you know, witherings and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's my reading on it. Here's my other thinking. I am hesitant to pull the sword out of the dead wizard because
exactly what I was thinking as well.
Dabbling in necromancy. That might have the right spell on it to deal with a necromancer, and if we pull it out, who knows what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I agree. Another possibility is that the knights were here for some other reason, and some sort of and whoever was targeting the necromancer was also targeting the knights. Or that they,
maybe we can search them for any documents or anything. I mean, maybe they've got written orders, or, you know, or something. The 2 knights.
You open the gambeson in of the first one, the one who was stabbed by the skeleton, and sort of the linen shirt under the gambeson is sort of soaked through and pierced. Underneath that, you find that all those wounds were heading towards a tattoo. And the tattoo is of a winged snake. That is coiled around another winged snake, or else it's coiled around itself and has two heads. It's hard to see with the spear wound. And that is the all the wounds that have opened in this or the wounds that, other than the spear wound, all the magical sort of curse wounds were heading towards this tattoo that was then broken by the spear. And the two heads of the snake is winged. The two heads are both crowned. It looks like. Or have some sort of circlet around them. It does not look traditionally. It does not fit any sort of crown tradition you've seen, but it is definitely like a gold emblem circlet.
So these guys were probably part of the meetings at that church. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were part of some sort of order that transcended their own knightly orders.
Mm-hmm.
And this curse targeted anyone who was a part of that order.
Yeah, it seems likely. So again, maybe we should check the sort of heraldry and see if we can recognize this thing. Because I feel like that's going to be the key here. Alva, do you want to check that out? See if you can use some of these.
Yeah. See if we can find a book that's going to tell us about that symbol and that tattoo.
And we should also continue to be on the lookout, because the rats did say something is still eating the food. Well, maybe they're just eating it and it's not being replenished. I don't know, but
yeah, they said it was not being replenished.
Okay, so they're just eating it, and they're okay. Never mind.
Okay.
There might not be something.
They did say there was a demon, and they did.
There's a demon. There's a demon, but I was thinking there might also be a living person still here somewhere, depleting the food supply. But it might just be the rats. Heraldry check.
Yeah.
Alva, do you want to make that intelligence check?
Yeah.
Go ahead and make it an advantage. You have the best background on that.
What was my intelligence? It was like 13, I think. No, it's a 9. Well, that's a 15. That's a 1. So,
crit.
Yes. Astounding success with the 1.
I'm going to tell you I'm going to fall back on Dungeon World, tell you something that I think would be useful, and then I'll let you ask a few questions to clarify how useful, to make sure it's useful. And I know that we are coming to the end of our actual session, so I want to keep an eye on that time. But it is definitely the emblem of a draconic cult. The cult worshipped a dragon named Umgazur. And Umgazur has only been rumored since the time that elves brought humans to Earth. Um, and it said that Gazur was a master of walking among those people the dragons consider mortals, and walking among them to cause their own destruction. But also rewarding those who assisted, as long as they did not annoy him. Do you have a question or two about that?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, like, what would Umgazur's adherents, have against a necromancer like Lissardo?
You notice that Lissard seems to specialize in the animation forms of necromancy. And you know that he also was famous for researching ways to animate clay. And he seems to be involved with demons of some sort. So they may have been trying to either get him to turn over the secrets. And you know that on his desk are his own books and notes, which seem to be about what he calls golemy. Your rabbi friend may not call it true golemy, but what he calls golemy. And that at least one of the things that was very like the work he did was seen at the site of what this cult was doing. He may have been supplying them with golems of some sort. Or it seems likely that he was supplying them with golems of some sort, and then refused to turn over more or turn over the information they wanted to get more. Or, well, that seems a most likely that he had something they wanted and was not giving it willingly.
Maybe we should ask, like, if the cult has a history in this town, or...
Yeah, I mean, so we're vigilantes, and my particular objective is correct the city's failures. I think we're in a position where, if we get one more question, it should be about, what happens next. If these two guys are dead, but their group wants golems, if the necromancer guy is dead, is it done or is it not done? And if it's not done, then we need to figure out, because what we don't want is an ongoing cult versus cult war, that where everybody who's decent gets ground up, in the process.
Right. So maybe what we should do, so if we have one more question, maybe we should ask about who else has this kind of could they go to try to find this kind of golem-y information? And we should also consider exfiltrating all of this material so no one else gets their hands on it.
Is that what you'd like to ask?
The second part's not a question, I guess.
Yeah. Is that what you'd like to ask, Alva?
Yeah, I think we want to ask, with these guys dead, with the necromancer dead, what's going to happen next with this cult? Are they done? Are they not done? What do we need to, what's going to happen next with them?
They've certainly been using what golems they got their hands on, or what constructs they got their hands on to sow unrest between communities.
Yeah.
So either they could look for more, in which case your friend Jacob could be targeted. That was horse characters last week. It seems more likely they may just change their strategy.
Yeah.
And look for new ways to cause community unrest between between communities.
Yeah.
All right. We are at time, so I am going to go ahead and call the session.
Okay.